The Earth has felt smaller ever since the invention of the airplane. Journeys that once took weeks or even months by sea or land can now be finished in just a few hours. An expert writing for the New York Times back in 1903 boldly said that humanity wouldn't achieve this for the next million years, but it didn't take long for reality to prove them wrong. Aircraft have been growing larger and more advanced ever since that first powered flight in December of that year. So let's take a look at 15 of the biggest ones of all time. And trust us, the number 10 will leave you in awe. Number 15. Boeing B52 Stratofortress. Well, we're not gonna lie about it, but the Boeing B52 Stratofortress is the definition of longevity in military aviation. First flown in 1952 and entering service by 1955, the B52 has remained active far longer than anyone could have predicted. Between 1952 and 1962, Boeing completed 744 units, a production run that's been untouched for more than 60 years. Despite no new models being built since, 76 of these strategic bombers are still flying today under the United States Air Force and even NASA. What made the B-52 so indispensable was its incredible range. It can go up to 8,800 miles without refueling, and its ability to carry nuclear weapons, although it has never deployed one in combat. Measuring 160 feet in length with a 185-foot wingspan, it's still a formidable presence in the skies. Thanks to major upgrades completed between 2013 and 2015, the B-52 fleet is projected to stay operational until at least the 2050s, meaning these aircraft could serve for a full century, an almost unimaginable achievement. Number 14. Antonov An-225, MRIA. The Antonov An-225 MRIA stands as a powerful relic from the Cold War arms race. Built by the Soviet Union in 1988, the MRIA arrived just as the USSR was teetering on collapse. Even today, it's one of the largest aircraft ever constructed, stretching 276 feet from nose to tail. Designed as a Soviet answer to the American space shuttle carriers, it could transport up to 400,000 pounds strapped directly onto its fuselage. Well, that's a lot, but despite its incredible engineering, only a single prototype was ever completed. A second An-225 was under construction when the Soviet Union fell apart, leaving it abandoned. There's a twist, though. In 2016, China expressed interest in reviving the MRIA project. While official updates have gone quiet since then, rumors suggest the dream of restoring or completing another An-225 might still be alive. A true titan of the skies, the MRIA remains a testament to the sheer ambition of Soviet aerospace engineering. Number 13. Airlander 10. Classifying the Airlander 10 is a bit tricky. It's not quite a traditional plane, but it's definitely an aircraft worth mentioning. Originally flying in 2016, this hybrid airship was developed by Hybrid Air Vehicles for a relatively modest $40 million, well below the cost of most new aircraft projects. Disaster struck early when it broke free from its moorings in 2017 and suffered major damage. Yet, instead of scrapping the project, the company went back to work, ultimately releasing an even better version. The updated Airlander 10 is now 320 feet long, making it longer than any other aircraft currently flying. Built mostly from inflatable materials, it's incredibly lightweight, helping it achieve up to 75% lower emissions compared to standard planes. Future models are set to become fully electric, aiming to eliminate emissions altogether. Despite the early setbacks, the Airlander 10 represents a bold shift toward greener aviation solutions. And if Hybrid Air Vehicles gets its way, the skies could soon be filled with these massive silent giants. Number 12. Airbus Beluga. Airbus clearly knows a thing or two about building giants, and the Beluga is no exception. Officially called the Airbus A340 ST Supertransporter, the plane earned its nickname Beluga because of its strong resemblance to the gentle beluga whale. Originally meant just as an internal name, it became so popular that Airbus eventually adopted it officially. Introduced in September 1995, the Beluga was designed to ferry oversized aircraft parts and industrial cargo across Europe and beyond. At 184 feet long and capable of carrying over 100,000 pounds, it's not the longest plane around, but its carrying capacity makes it one of the most valuable workhorses in aviation logistics. One of the original 5 even received a special paint job to match its aquatic namesake. As impressive as they are, the Belugas are nearing retirement, with the last units scheduled to bow out by 2025. Their successor, the Beluga XL, is already waiting in the wings, bigger, stronger, and ready to take over the heavy lifting duties. Number 11. Stratolaunch. Model 351. The Stratolaunch Model 351 is the passion project of Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen, not Musk or Bezos. After stepping away from Microsoft, Allen poured his energy into aviation and built the colossal Stratolaunch aircraft under his Stratolaunch company. Boasting a wingspan of 385 feet, it holds the record as the widest plane ever flown. The aircraft's unusual twin fuselage design is powered by 6 engines, each with its own fuel tank, and it relies on 8 landing gear sets to ensure a smooth touchdown. Interestingly, much of the prototype was crafted from salvaged parts of retired Boeing 747s. Originally, the plan was for the Model 351 to carry Pegasus XL rockets into the upper atmosphere for space launches. However, in 2019, Stratolaunch shifted focus, envisioning the giant to offer high-altitude passenger flights instead. Paul Allen believed this could slash flight times between continents, potentially cutting the USA to Australia trip in half. It's an ambitious vision for an aircraft already rewriting aviation records. Number DC Super Guppy. Well, this plane looks like a prank, but it's totally real. Nicknamed the Frankenplane, the Super Guppy isn't winning any beauty contests, but its engineering achievements are nothing short of extraordinary. Built in 1965, this oddly patched-together aircraft is a fusion of various plane parts, with a Boeing 377 Stratocruiser forming its base. The Super Guppy's oversized frame made it the only aircraft capable of carrying an SIVB stage of a Saturn V rocket. At 143 feet long, 60 feet tall, and 25 feet wide internally, it became the air-based version of a freight train. Despite its vintage, one of the 5 units built remains in active service with NASA today. It's a little archaic by modern standards, but the Super Guppy's ability to transport massive, irregularly shaped cargo remains unmatched. More than half a century since its creation, we still haven't produced a plane better suited to hauling enormous space hardware across long distances. A reminder that sometimes boring, old-school innovation still reigns supreme. Number 9. Tupolev Tu-160 Blackjack. The Tupolev Tu-160, known to NATO as Blackjack, stands at the top of the supersonic bomber world. Development began in the 1970s, with the first flight taking place in 1981. After a long period of testing, it officially entered service with the Soviet military in 1987. Since then, 36 units have been completed, with plans for more in the coming years. The Tu-160 remains unmatched for its combination of size, speed, and payload. It holds records as both the heaviest combat aircraft ever built and the fastest bomber in the world, capable of Mach 2 speeds. The latest Tu-160 M2 upgrades introduced advanced engines, improved avionics, and a glass cockpit, extending the bomber's lifespan well into the future. Measuring 177 feet in length, 182 feet in wingspan, and weighing nearly 250,000 pounds when empty, the Blackjack is an airborne powerhouse. Even with all that weight, it can soar at speeds of 1,380 miles per hour, a beast few planes could ever rival. What do you think about this beauty? Well, let us know. Number 8. Hughes H4 Hercules. The Hughes H4 Hercules, famously nicknamed the Spruce Goose, holds a legendary place in aviation history despite only flying once. Designed by the eccentric Howard Hughes during World War II, the massive wooden aircraft was intended as a flying boat capable of transporting troops across the Atlantic. Hughes's perfectionism delayed the project so long that by the time the H4 was ready for its first flight in 1947, the war had already ended. Nevertheless, Hughes was determined to prove it could fly. In a brief but historic moment, he piloted the massive plane, lifting it just above the water's surface to demonstrate its capability. Measuring over 320 feet in wingspan, the Spruce Goose held the record for the largest wingspan ever constructed until the Strat launch flew decades later. Built almost entirely of wood due to wartime material restrictions, it remains a marvel of its time. Today, the Spruce Goose is preserved at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in Oregon, a timeless symbol of ambition and aviation innovation. Number 7. North American XB-70 Valkyrie. The North American XB-70 Valkyrie is a breathtaking leap into the bold world of experimental aviation. Developed during the tense Cold War period of the 1950s, this aircraft was intended as a prototype for a high-altitude Mach 3 nuclear bomber. Its sharply pointed nose and innovative folding wingtips were engineered to maximize performance at extreme speeds. Although the Valkyrie's capabilities were groundbreaking, advancements in anti-aircraft missile technology made the need for such a bomber obsolete, leading to the project's cancellation. Only 2 units were ever built, and neither saw active military service. Instead, they served as supersonic research platforms, helping scientists study aerodynamics, thermal stresses, and high-speed flight dynamics. Tragically, one XB-70 was lost in a mid-air collision during a promotional photo shoot. The remaining aircraft now resides at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Ohio. Even though its operational life was brief, the Valkyrie remains an iconic symbol of ambition, technological daring, and the relentless pursuit of pushing aviation boundaries. Number 6. Dreamlifter. Well, this isn't a typical cargo plane. In fact, it looks almost too bulky to be airborne at all. Built specifically to haul parts for the 787 Dreamliner across the globe, this massive aircraft was born out of necessity. Boeing couldn't find a plane capable of carrying the enormous pieces needed for assembly, so they modified a 747-400 into something entirely new. Only 4 Dreamlifters exist today, and each one features an oversized fuselage that splits open, allowing the aircraft to load and unload giant components. Even the AN-225 Miria wouldn't have been ideal for Boeing's needs, which says a lot about the Dreamlifter's size and capability. The first completed unit lifted off from Taiwan in September 2006, and all 4 continue to operate today. With its distinct bulging profile, the Dreamlifter has become a symbol of modern aviation engineering, proving that function sometimes matters far more than form when you're moving the largest plane parts ever made. Number 5. Messerschmitt Mi323 Gigant. During World War II, the skies occasionally bore witness to the colossal Messerschmitt Mi323 Gigant, the largest military transport aircraft of its era. Originally adapted from the Mi-321 glider, the Gigant first took flight in 1942 and quickly became a critical part of Germany's war logistics. Designed to support Operation Sea Lion, the planned invasion of Britain, the Gigant never fulfilled its original mission due to the operation's cancellation. Instead, the planes were briefly repurposed for Operation Barbarossa, Germany's assault on the Soviet Union, though they saw limited success. Between 1942 and 1944, just under 200 units were built. With its massive cargo capacity and 6-engine configuration, the Gigant could transport tanks, artillery, and troops, although its slow speed and vulnerability made it an easy target. As Germany's fortunes declined, so too did the operational life of the Mi-323. By the end of 1944, the surviving giants were either destroyed in combat or abandoned. Today, no complete examples of the aircraft survive. Number 4. Airbus A340. Unlike many massive aircraft built for military or special projects, the Airbus A340 was created with commercial aviation in mind. Basically, for normal people like you and me. The first model of the A340 took flight in 1987, with Air France and Lufthansa beginning operations with it by 1993. In 2002, Airbus introduced a larger variant, the A340-600, stretching 247 feet long with a 208-foot wingspan. It remained the world's longest passenger airliner until Boeing launched the 747 ACIT-8 in 2010. Production of the A340 line wrapped up in 2011, but around 24 planes still actively serve with airlines like Lufthansa, Mahan Air, South African Airways, and Swiss International Airlines. With a cargo capacity exceeding 7,000 cubic feet, the A340 could easily handle both passengers and freight. Beyond its technical marvels, the aircraft also boasts a stellar safety record, nearly 30 years in service without a single fatal accident. That's a rare accomplishment in the often unpredictable world of commercial aviation. What do you say? Number 3. Caspian Sea Monster. The Caspian Sea Monster, officially known as the KM Ekranoplan, was one of the Soviet Union's most ambitious and bizarre aviation projects. Built during the Cold War, this experimental craft looked like an enormous aircraft but operated mostly within ground effect, flying just a few meters above water to achieve greater lift with less drag. Stretching 92 meters in length, boasting a wingspan of 37.6 meters, and standing 21.8 meters tall, the KM was a true giant. It had a maximum takeoff weight (MTEDBO) of 544,000 kilograms, making it one of the heaviest vehicles to ever attempt flight. Despite its size and impressive engineering, the Caspian Sea Monster was never fully operational outside of military testing. It offered immense speed and cargo potential over water but remained vulnerable to rough seas and high waves. While it never saw mass production, the KM Ekranoplan stands as a monument to Soviet ingenuity, blending elements of aviation and naval architecture into a singular, unforgettable machine. Number 2. Boeing 747. No list of large planes can be complete with it, and few aircraft command the respect and affection that the Boeing 747 does. Nicknamed the Queen of the Skies, this American-built airliner revolutionized long-distance travel when it debuted in the 1970s. Its iconic humpback design made it instantly recognizable, and its spacious interior allowed for over 366 passengers in a standard 3-class setup. The 747 became a staple for international airlines, making global travel more accessible than ever before. However, aviation has shifted toward more fuel-efficient single-aisle aircraft capable of covering long distances. As a result, airlines have gradually retired their 747 fleets, although their freighter versions remain in high demand for heavy cargo transportation. Unlike the Airbus A380, the 747 transitioned seamlessly into cargo service, keeping it relevant even as passenger use declined. After an incredible 54-year production run, Boeing delivered the final 747 to Atlas Air in January 2023. With 1,574 units built, the Boeing 747's legacy endures. Every time one takes flight, it reminds the world of aviation's golden era. Number 1. Lockheed C5 Galaxy. The Lockheed C5 Galaxy is proof that great military planes age like fine wine. First flown in 1968 and officially introduced in 1970, the C5 has been a cornerstone of U.S. Air Force transport missions for over 5 decades. It was a crucial asset during the Vietnam War and later saw action in Iraq, Yugoslavia, and Afghanistan. Measuring 247 feet long and 65 feet tall with a wingspan of 222 feet, the C5 can carry virtually any cargo the Air Force needs to move. Despite early budget issues and production delays, it became one of the most vital heavy lifters in military history. Of the original fleet, 58 planes are still operational today, modernized and now classified as the C5M Super Galaxy variant. Even though these aircraft have been flying for decades, plans are underway to keep them in service well into the 2030s. The C5 Galaxy's legacy isn't ending anytime soon, it's just getting another upgrade. Well, we really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.